and welcome back to the channel. So I haven't made a YouTube video in a very long time, but I've got to that point of lockdown boredom. So in lockdown and the subsequent easing of lockdown due to Miss Corona, I have read a lot of books. A lot. So I thought that I would kind of do a wrap up of all the books I've read. Some of these I read ages ago, so if I'm awful at explaining the plot, we're just going to excuse that one. So yeah, so the first book I have to talk about is Neil Gaiman, Anna C. Boys. I love this book. I think it's really funny. So essentially it's about Fat Charlie Nancy, whose brother comes and just wreaks havoc in his life. I love Fat Charlie Nancy, and I also love his brother in it. I think they're both really good thought out characters, and if you're just looking for something fun to read that's not too heavy, this is your book. It's a bit thicker, but it's really not that long. And yeah, I really like Neil Gaiman. I think all of his books, I'm like, give me them. So yeah, very good. If you like mythology, all that good stuff. Is Unexplained by Richard McLean Smith. Again, this is very much based on like true stories, paranormal activity, UFOs, exorcisms, stuff like that. And yeah, it goes into really in-depth subjects in a really kind of light-hearted manner that really makes you think, and that's what I like about this. Again, it's a very short book, and I like this because you can, if you really want, you can kind of flick through chapters and kind of read the ones that interest you the most in that sense. And yeah, it asks some really deep questions that I was like, oh wow. And I read this and Stephen King like in a row, and I couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks. Any shadow or like anything that moved, I was like, ugh. So it will freak you out, but in the best possible way. And there's also a podcast of this, I think. So again, if you're into that kind of thing, Richard McLean Smith does a lot of that. King, The Shining. I have never really read Stephen King. This is kind of first getting into Stephen King, and again, it's an absolute classic. Everyone loves it, and I nearly cried during it because I was like, leave him alone. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I was just like, can we just leave him alone for 2 seconds? 2 seconds. So it's fantastic. The characters are really well thought out. And this is a really nice copy because it has like a foreword before and Stephen King talking about the book and kind of in hindsight, kind of if he would have done anything differently. So again, if you're into kind of Stephen King, it's a really good idea to get these copies of his books. And again, it's an absolute classic. What can I say? Although, maybe I just missed out a whole chunk, but like the wee twins that sit in like the Stanley Kubrick film are not in this, and I'm glad because they freaked me out. I wanted to love this so bad. Because I know it's on Amazon Prime and David Tennant is in it, and I really wanted to like it, but it just kind of confused me a little bit. I'm a bit thick, so it's not that difficult, but it's just there's a lot of characters, and the end of it, I actually really liked it. The end of it, when I finally got to grips with who everyone was, I have to say, I really loved the ending, and I thought kind of the whole concept of it's very fun. And I also liked the fact it was like co-written with someone else. I think there's something quite cool in that, but definitely, I think I would read other Neil Gaiman books before I read this, but again, it's relatively short. It's good fun, you know, it's not that serious, but if you struggle to keep up with characters and stuff, I think you will struggle with this because there's a lot of characters and a lot of things happen that I was like, whoa, how did we get to this? And I did have to kind of flick back. I had to flip back and read a few things. So we have another Neil Gaiman book, and this is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This is so short. This is such a short book, and I was not ready. I was not ready for the emotional roller coaster that took place in this book. Actually about, I don't even know how to describe this. Someone please help me. It's basically about this young boy lives in a house, has his neighbours, and I don't even want, you know what, no, I'm not going to explain this. Read it. Go into this completely blind and you will just be absolutely blown away. It is stunning, it is beautiful, it is just, book for like an hour. I have no doubt that I could do that, so I'm just going to move away from it. But It's fantastic. It's so heartwarming and heartbreaking and everything. So 5 out of 5. If you want to read any Neil Gaiman book, read this. It's super short, but it's fantastic. Next book I want to talk about is Feminism Interrupted: Disrupting Power by Lola. I really don't want to butcher the second name, so I'll just put it up somewhere. This is really interesting, and I love these little like pseudo outspoken books. They go into a load of different subjects, and if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely pick these up. They're short, they're concise, and they kind of keep it very nice and to the point, and I really enjoy that about this book. Again, if you just want more of a faceted view of feminism and you want to explore different strands of feminism, neoliberalism, Marxist feminists, social feminists, again, it's very good for that. And I think it's very important, personally, to read outside of your race, because at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of all, we're all in this fight together, and I think it's really important to read other literature because you'll never know the experiences of someone else that's a different skin colour to you or different, you know, religion to you, and I think just reading about them experiences can really kind of open up your worldview, and it goes into a lot, obviously, into minority groups and kind of that idea about that kind of thing. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval. I can't say names. But yeah, again, this, as you can see, is like highlighted to death. Like, there's a lot of highlights in this and a lot of little bookmarks. This is fantastic. If you like reading about evolution and where humans come from, or you believe in that view, this is really interesting to read. It really goes literally into the start of humanity till now and kind of what future holds for humanity. Now we're moving towards the kind of technological science age where we really are in control of what happens. So yeah, and it very much kind of focuses on intense questions of just life in general and of humanity. What I'll talk about is Boink, a curious coupling of sex and science. I'll say it now, I love reading sex books. I think it's really interesting. Love this. This is very much a kind of scientific book because it goes into lots of studies, but it's very much kind of like anecdotal, so it's not particularly kind of hard to grasp the science of it, unlike other books like Vagina by Naomi Wolf or books along that nature. Just really interesting. It goes into quite a lot in terms of different studies, and also kind of this very first kind of sex studies that took place and the controversy around them, but also kind of what they taught us about sex today. And yeah, really anecdotal, really fun. I have to say, I think I maybe would have liked more detail into each study because it does go through them fairly fast paced. But again, if you like that kind of thing, you'll love this. Also, I love this cover. Like look at it. It's such a cool cover. So we're near the end, finally. And we finish off with Stephen King. This is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. This is essentially a collection of short stories that have been turned into one book. I love stuff like that. I think short stories kind of give you the chance to, instead of having to sit down and like read, you know, however many pages, you can really flick through it. And I like short stories. I think they're a really good way, to kind of get into writing, but also as a way of reading. Really fun. This, I don't even know when this was published, but I adore this cover. So yeah, there's a load of really good stories in it. In the sense of you can really kind of flick through and decide what ones you want to read and what you don't want to read. And there's also poetry in this as well. So yeah, I don't even want to say, again, with these last two books, I don't even want to say what the stories are about because I think you should just read them because they are fantastic. Really goes into a lot of different themes in this, which I actually really appreciated, and into a lot of different kind of ways of storytelling, which again, really appreciate. So yeah, definitely read this. I would say read The Shining first actually before you read this. So thank you so much for watching. Yeah, if you've read any of these books, comment below what you think of them and any opinions you have of them. I would love to hear them. And yeah, again, I also want to do more like social commentary kind of videos. So if you have any ideas on that, also comment them down below, and I will see you in my next video.